Okay, so the next step is to put the window masks on for the weathering windscreen wiper effect. It isn't going to be very heavy on here, but there is going to have to be some. The windscreen wipers I take and basically just try and do an arc. I can tell that it's, once you've pegged it in, it goes to about there, and you turn it round, it goes to like that kind of position. So it's going to transfer. I mean, these ones probably, with the articulated arm thing, it's probably quite a straight line, but I think that would look weird, and I think people would be like, that's not right, is it? It should be an arc. Not a very strong arc, but I think an arc of sorts nonetheless. Maybe it could do with being a bit further out here, but then it literally can't reach. That there is, I think there is a limit. Looking at how it's molded, that's it. It only goes there. So it has to be kind of symmetrical, I think, with the, to there. So that's how I do it. Obviously, I put a masking tape on. Now this, I've taken a lot of the sticky off it by sticking it to my hand, back, take it off, stick it back, take it off, stick it back, and eventually you take the sticky off the tape. So there's not much holding that on, because you don't want to pull it and the window, cracks or distorts or whatever. So that's on. This one I kind of mark off the endpoints against the wiper. I mark off the high spot here, and then I find a template to draw around. In this case, a side plate. So that just fits. Yeah. So that's all I've done, is I've just put that on there, drawn the curve, joined the dots effectively, and then I'll take this tape off carefully, gingerly. Yeah, I'll do it two-handed, and then I cut it out and I stick it back on again. The time with this. So the next thing, I've cut a little strip of vinyl, sticky vinyl out, and this is going to go inside there. So I've painted some acrylic black on the middle column, and I'm going to stick this tape along in there under the bottom of the windows like that. Yeah, but obviously I have to have the wipers in first, because the wipers come through these holes. So that's why I'm doing the wipers now, and I can't stick the wipers in without doing these, because then obviously I'll have the wiper on there and I can't, one thing leads to another, doesn't it? So I'm kind of reversing back to getting that strip on. Okay, more and on. Right, okay, update, and it's now 9:25. So I'm kind of done for the evening. We have got the windows obviously are still in, so that's a touch, isn't it? I've put my strip of vinyl across the bottom, so when we get to look in the windows in the cab, you don't see too much of a horror show. Let me try, and I'll swing the light round, it's probably easier than manhandling. So it won't be too much of a horror show in there when you look through the driver's window and so on. And as you can tell, we've got the masks on either side, so they are for when I start the weathering of the windscreen. I've got the wipers on, so I had to put the wipers in before I could put the vinyl in, and so now it's all good to go. So they're fairly symmetrical enough, I think. And what I will do with the windscreen is just take the tiniest amount of matte varnish, matte coat in this case, but matte varnish, and get it on a paintbrush, like a probably not a normal paintbrush, but probably something much shorter, more bristly, and wait till it almost dries off the brush. Kind of dry brush it, and just touch it in around the edges. I won't try and end up with this clear. This is just to make sure this stays clear, but it'll be more concentrated around the edges. I don't want to overdo it. I've done a couple of these now, and it's very easy to overdo the effect, I think, and I'm guilty of that. So This I want to just do a tiny little bit round the edges, and then I will stand back and have a little look at it. I haven't found a satisfactory way of really applying it really delicately. It kind of goes on or it isn't, and once it's on, it's quite noticeable. I don't want to use a paint to do it, because then you end up, it can really get quite opaque very quickly. At least a sort of matte varnish, it's still quite translucent, and but it has a kind of mist to it. So yeah, that's what I'll end up doing with all those. The wipers I will paint a little bit and put some highlights on them and stuff to make them. At the moment they're kind of a bit just the rubber that they are, with some of Terry's enamel wash still on them. So I'll paint them matte black, and then I will put some edges on them and stuff to make them look a little bit more realistic. But yeah, so far so good. Right, so here we are, and we have the cab on the truck. As you can see, it's all set up. The gloss black wheels will come out okay. It obviously is rough as a badger's backside where the Dremels have been put on, but the caps are on. You know, they're better than they were. Best I can do. The other wheels are still black. This one had a lot of matte. I think he's cut like a wire wheel to that one or something. And the back one's the same. On the other side, there's one of them's gloss, but the other two are a bit more like this. So obviously, compared to the hub, I'm going to have to bring the hub down quite a lot to match the wheel. I'm not going to spray each wheel black and all that carry on. So I will be bringing the hubs back down to match as much as I can this kind of finish. So what I've done with the interior, and you can maybe just see it there, there is that black vinyl trim that I put on under the window edge to hide the edges of the perspex. So that looks pretty good. The center panel on the windscreen is black. Come on, camera, is black, as was expected. Let's just turn the flash on. Maybe that'll help. So that was painted. You can just see the paint at the top there. It's no big deal. No one's really going to be looking in that closely, but it does give that, you know, sealed up impression and a much better view. The doors, they're a bit hit and miss. I'll be honest with you. They're not. They close kind of where it touches. You know, I think it's a better fit at the bottom than it is at the top, which makes me think the hinges aren't right and clip shut. So I'm not sure I can do much about that. They kind of are. They are what they are. So yeah, but the cab's on. That's pretty cool. The headlights are in. They're in. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I am just cutting some fuse wire, which you can see here. That's going to go in two places, those two sanded off grey spots, and they tally up to here. So I'm going to put some holes in here on the side of the truck, and the fuse wire pegs, and they will hopefully sit in like so. Then the whole thing will get super glued in, and it should be pretty sturdy. I may have to open those up a little bit. There's so much glue everywhere. Yeah, I may have to open these up a little bit just to get the glue encrusted legs in. And then I'm gonna get some paint on this fuel cap because it's not red. It shouldn't be red, or wouldn't be red for long. And then it's bed. It's time to get the bed on, which is easy. It's just 4 bolts, bum bum bum, and clip the panels in. So that's not a big job. I could wait for tomorrow even. But yes, for now I just want to get that. We haven't got this. Should have one of those caps on it. This 4-way little hatch thing. That was lost in the roll Terry had with these trucks. So I'm gonna have to make a little blanking plate for that and get it painted. Because that's obviously not going to work. A big hole there. Gonna have to have something there. The hatch on. The insides are pretty cool. Happy with that. That's come out. We've got the aero bar that we've seen so many of these Terry's onboard films. The aero bar on the dashboard. That's back. The windscreen masks are still on, so I really ought to get that weathered up tonight. I don't want to leave the masking tape on there for long. We've got a a little humorous sign going around the front. Maybe you can see it around the front. There you go. Well, don't they all? So yeah, cool. Okay, so we're in good shape now to start doing the weathering. I've had a few little details have been added, but you'll remember this has also got silver underneath the red. So there will be, once I've put a basic wash on to bring out all the panel joints and things, what I will be starting to do is rub some of the red off, and that'll be a bit sketchy, a bit scary, but I am going to try and rub back some of this to the silver again to indicate some wear and tear. So there won't be quite as much painting on of highlights as there will be hopefully of rubbing them back. And yeah, that's going to be a bit of an adventure. I have done the windscreen already. I did that last night simply so I could get the masking tape off. The wipers do still need properly painting, so they'll get done as well as part of this process, because they're as Terry gave me, and I'm not really keen on how they look, so they'll get a little bit of paint on them, and we'll see how we go. I have already touched up one or two of the bits that were is that a bit there? Oh no, it's just a lump that's catching the light. That's fine. So I touched this in because this needed a bit more black on it. We've got clear bulbs in there. We haven't got here. I've got a plug instead because with the whole housing came off I mentioned on the last one. This we lost. This sort of four-way cage thing came out. So I've just put a plug in. I mean, it's just something instead of a big hole. I've painted the filler cap on there now. So I'm glad I did these black. I remember in the previous video I realised I had to do these inner pods black. I mean, probably red would have been the way to go, but black I think works equally well. So yeah, she's I've put the I also put the lens in the wing mirror this morning, the one that remains, and touched up the edges of that as well with black. So there's been a little bit of fine tuning of stuff. There's a yellow bulb in there, clear one in there, and yeah, we're ready to go.